You know, why don't we go ahead and do roll call?
Let's hop in.
All right. As Vice Chair of the Parks Commission, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 4:04 p.m. and we'll start with roll call. Go ahead and start with Bill.
Bill Davis, Parks Commission.
Jared Schmidt.
Harv Shabotik, Parks Commission.
Carmen Matthews.
Kurt Benward, Parks Commission.
Jamie Faraday, Parks.
Greg Hamblett.
Christina Texera. Christine Sylvester.
All right, and then online, if you guys could just roll call in.
Hi, Scott, Parks Commission. Patrick Ringer, Parks Commission.
All right. Well, thank you all. We'll go ahead and go to agenda item number 2, which is public comment. I don't see anybody in public comment unless, Cricket, do you have a public comment? Because you're not on the agenda at the moment.
I'm not on the agenda, but the public comment is we're going to have a birthday party at the cemetery.
Well, you go ahead. Let's go ahead and do the public comment in the official fashion.
Just so you know what's going on, we're having a birthday party at the cemetery. We're trying a new tact, get kids look at it twice at least. Designed primarily for students at Marshfield and potentially some for the junior high. So school gets out at 2:20, so we're doing a 2:30 to 5 o'clock, our annual P party where we pull the P. Because we really need to get that done. So we'll have that, and we'll get students as much as we can involved in that. And it's a birthday party because there's 5 people that had birthdays on October 24th. So we'll also highlight those 5 people, including Mrs. Merchant, who was the original owner of that area, to try and get kids involved in it in that way. So, anything we can do. And we're keeping it just to students because I worry if we get too many out of unvetted people. So that's what we're doing. And a lady called while I was on my trip from Florida and said, I see the cemetery is really in bad shape. And I said, let me tell you. So supposedly she's here for another month or so, and we're going to take a tour and have her see, because it's way better than it used to be, but it does look a little overgrown at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's about where we're at right now.
Well, thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
For all the hard work. And our illustrious chair is now present, so I will go ahead and pass the meeting on over to you. We just got done with public comment.
Thank you so much. Apologize for my tardiness. Moving on down to action item 3A, OBAB report.
Hello, I'm Katie Loy with OBAB. I am the treasurer, and I'm here to give our full report of 2025. So for a total of 34 volunteers, 835 hours were worked, 56.75 cubic yards of trash was collected, 45 cubic yards of debris, which includes invasives like an English ivy, Scotch broom, holly, blackberry, and 5 cubic yards of mulch was spread on trail. And out of that, in Coos Bay alone, we had 235 volunteers, which was 587.50 hours worked. And that was a collection of 51.5 cubic yards of trash, and that was 24 cubic yards of invasives with 5 cubic yards of mulch spread on trails. And what was different this year than from last year is this year we took out November and December months to do cleanup because November second Saturdays usually fall around Veterans Day, so it's kind of hard to get a good turnout. And this year we did actually have a cancellation. So last year we had 7 cleanups in Coos Bay. This year we had 6 cleanups in Coos Bay. So that came out to only 62 less volunteers than last year and only 4.5 cubic yards less than last year. So we still accomplished a great deal, even though we had a couple setbacks. So for the last couple of years, we had our volunteer appreciation in January to kick off the year. This year, we're going to have it in November on the second Saturday. So that's going to be November 8th. at the Coos Bay Library, and I will send the city the details on that. So if you'd like to come and join us and show appreciation to our volunteers, it's also a good way to maybe introduce people who haven't even heard about us or want to get more involved. That's a great way to connect with us and talk. And we need more board members and more members and all that good stuff. So it's a great opportunity. That's that.
What time was that appreciation at?
I think it's 5, but don't quote me on that. That's why I'm going to get the final details and work on the flyer. And we are working on next year's schedule, and there is going to be quite a bit more in Coos Bay. We're happy to say that. And yeah, so, and some North Bend too. We got to give them some love. So yeah, we're currently working on that.
Is this the first member appreciation or volunteer
No, this will be the
appreciation?
third one.
Okay, I think I don't know why I missed the others, but that's a brilliant way of, because when you're together at an event, you're spread out and you don't get to, other than talk to the people you're pulling weeds with.
Yeah, we want to make sure everybody feels seen and appreciated.
Yeah.
I know anytime I've volunteered for something, being acknowledged and being thanked is a great thing and keeps you returning and whatnot. So
Yeah.
we've got quite a bit of regulars, and we want to keep that up because we get a great volunteer turnout every time. So we want to keep it going.
Great.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
All right, action item 3B, ODOT TGM grant option discussion.
So the Parks Commission directed staff to apply for the ODOT Transportation and Growth Management grant, the TGM grant, to support the development of the comprehensive bicycle and pedestrian plan for the city of Coos Bay. Staff has submitted that grant, and on October 1st, we were advised that we received and were awarded that grant for $175,000 to support this planning effort. On October 5th, staff met with ODOT Planning and Finance Specialists to discuss 2 potential options for developing a scope of work to move the plan forward and how to best utilize the awarded funding. So there's 2 options that are both listed below. One option is to update the 1991 Bikeway Master Plan for Coos Bay, North Bend, Bay Area, and Coos County Parks, which is attached to the staff report. And then with that, we would then have to amend the 2020 Coos Bay Transportation System Plan to adopt the updated 25 Bikeway Master Plan by reference. This option would involve a full update of the 1991 plan and integrate pedestrian facilities into the new document. It would require a more extensive planning effort and additional resources, monies, to complete. Option 2 would be to develop a scope of work to update the 2020 Coos Bay Transportation System Plan, the bicycle and pedestrian modal plans to include the implementation section and a list of capital improvement projects for each modal plan. And then with that, we would then have to amend the TSP by reference. This option would build on the existing information from the 2020 TSP and focus additional resources, so more dollars, towards identifying specific capital improvement projects for bicycle and pedestrian facilities. To maximize the grant funding and planning efforts, staff recommends that the Commission select option 2. This option builds upon the previous work completed for the TSP and minimizes the need for new data collection. It will provide the city with more tangible outcomes by delivering a more robust implementation section and comprehensive list of capital improvement projects for each modal plan. So the question is if it pleases the Commission, make recommendations to select and approve one of the 2 options presented by staff. Once a recommendation is made, staff will present to the Public Works Director for approval.
Does the option 2 require the whole grant, or is there still required funds to do option 2? In other words, does the grant cover option 2?
The grant would cover option 2, but then it would also include like developing implementation strategies and capital improvement plans for the future. So I think it would give us a better idea of moving forward how our comprehensive bike and ped plan would look. Option one, it would just be a revamp, and I don't know if we get that same level of detail that I think the commission is looking for. Of, you know, what does future development look like? I think that 91 plan or updating that 91 plan would just be an updating of that 91 plan. I don't know if it would give us the capital improvement directions that I think we're seeing.
Sure. Well, if these are our two options, I would move to select option 2 at this point.
Do you have your mic on?
I have a motion, and then can I get a second so we can discuss further?
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second, so we'll do further discussion. Kurt?
I mean, I was leaning towards option 2 anyways. I mean, partly because of money. I mean, that's always an issue. And the other thing is, option 1 actually included North Bend and Coos County. And, you know, since we're getting $175,000 for Coos Bay to do a transportation plan, trying to update 1991 with those other considerations probably seems a little weird. Plus, that 1991 plan appears to be bikes only, and we're bikes and pedestrians, and so updating the 2020 plan with bikes and pedestrians, I think, is a more viable way to go. So I think that's really a good way to go. A couple of questions. Does the 1991 plan ever just go away? It just hangs around forever?
Yeah, I'm not, up until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't know the 1991 plan existed.
Okay. So maybe it's quietly gone away.
So whenever the city pays for anything it goes on the shelf, and then it exists there until eventually, like when the city went digital with a lot of things, then sometimes stuff accidentally doesn't make it to the digital. So.
Well, the only reason I ask at all is because sometimes there's confusion about what plan are we using, right? And so, you know, hopefully when this gets all done, there's some proviso in there that says this supplants the plan that was presented in the 1991 thing. I think would be a good way of doing that. And then just another, I mean, I'm assuming that the big part of this is going to be looking at routes within the city. What are viable bike routes, and also what are viable pedestrians improvements, because the TSP has a lot of pedestrian improvements as well as far as sidewalks are concerned. And so I'm a bike rider, but I don't want it to be just about bikes. I think it needs to be about pedestrians as well. And then I guess my final comment would be that the one nice thing about the 1991 plan was that it did look overall at the region, and I'm thinking particularly about when we start looking at bike routes and doing things, that we see how they interface with North Bend, for example. The the Oregon Coast bike route that goes down Highway 101 goes through North Bend, but then intersects with Coos Bay. It goes from Coos Bay out to Cape Argo Highway. And so it's the kind of thing that when we do this, I do hope we take into consideration how we maybe interface with North Bend and other places, as well as we have bike and pedestrian paths as well. So that's it.
Well, one thing that I can say is that we have a pretty good relationship with ODOT, and that bike route does travel along ODOT's highway through North Bend. And so we have been talking with ODOT about or prior to us being awarded this grant, we've been in conversation with them about how we can, you know, combine those efforts and make sure that we're communicating with them about how our comprehensive bike and ped plan is going to go, and that they want to they want to be partners in moving forward in that plan. And so I think we're gonna see that marriage and that continuity between the ODOT and the path going through Baltimore cities, specifically the bike section on that Oregon Coast Bike Trail. So I see that happening.
Okay. They have it on part of Highway 101, but then it goes through the neighborhood. Once you get over the bridge on Highway 101, it takes a right and goes through some of the neighborhoods in North Bend, and then out onto the street that goes by Safeway and Pony Village, then down, and then on Broadway. So then once it hits Broadway, then it's us again. So it's just the kind of thing to think about, working together with them. Did ODOT have a preference on option 1 or 2?
They did not. That's why we talked about both options. They did say that we'd get more bang for the buck with option 2. So that was what they just provided us, the guidance or the options, and I said we would discuss it with the commission.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Jared? Okay. Any other commissioner comments? Nope. Okay. We have a first and a second to go forward with option 2. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mhm. Moving on to action item 3C, Bike and Ped Fact Finding Committee update.
So, on October 11th, 2024, City Council approved the creation of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Fact Finding Committee. The committee was tasked with the following: the promotion and education of safety for bicycling and pedestrian activity in and around the city of Coos Bay, provide the commission with the perspective of bicyclists and active transportation users on significant public development projects regarding bicycle and related active transportation circulation and access and general use when appropriate. Review existing active public transportation infrastructure from the standpoint of public need and provide facts or findings regarding development priorities in alignment with the transportation system plan for Coos Bay and local and state standards. Review and investigate locations for safe, cohesive bicycle parking at the city-owned facilities. Research assignments as directed by the commission, and provide facts and findings regarding pedestrian trails and bikeways for accessibility to and within the park systems for recreation and for transportation within the city to the parks. So at staff's request for information to include in the staff report, the committee provided the attached materials, and the staff did invite members of the Bike and Ped Fact-Finding Committee here tonight to provide an update. And I think we have a couple of members of the Bike and Ped Fact-Finding Committee here, so I can turn it over to them if they'd like to provide that, or we can. It's all here, so if there's any questions that the commission might have, I can do my best to answer them, or the guys or the people can answer those questions how they like.
Well, I'll give a brief summary of where we are. We met, as it is in the report, the attachment, 4 out of the 5 months that we've been in existence. August was non-existent for meeting. And we did set up some tasks to go through and tried to figure out who would be best to, but it kind of fell apart in August, so we kind of reconvened in September and came up with what you see in front of you, with some ideas about perhaps revamping our direction, our mission, because the bylaws have objectives and a mission that is fairly, we thought, fairly dry, and so we wanted to zhuzh that up into something that would inspire us to go further. So that's where we are now. And there was a couple of sample mission statements or vision statements, I suppose you could say, to help us, that are included here at the bottom of the first page. second page. Any questions at this point that commissioners have seen in their viewing of this information?
So in regards to a amendment to the mission statement or anything like that, that would have to go before council. If the commission wanted to change the language of the mission statement, that would then have to be recommended by the commission to go to council for approval.
Interesting.
That's in the Article 7 of the bylaws.
Right. And we can sort of work without that until it is approved, certainly. No problem there. And I just had an idea that just evaporated while I was talking. Yeah. So maybe when we get the discussion going, we can come up with that. But
Are there any other items that we foresee coming relatively swiftly that are going to need to go back before council as well? So we can package them?
The only one that needs to go back to council, if we wanted to revise anything, well, any revision to the bylaws would have to be recommended to go to council. So any revision to the bylaws would have to be approved by council. And so that would be where any revision to that document would have to go.
including objectives?
Any per Article 7, amending to the bylaws, any change to the bylaws require approval by the city council.
Because what did come to mind is back in the brain now, is that going through the past two bicycle master plans, there has been very little change in, 50 years of planning for bicycles and pedestrians? And each of those plans talk about the deficits being the infrastructure and the fact that when the reviews or interview people, they say, well, I would use my bike more, I would use my feet more if there were facilities for those. And so we keep seeing this. And so I would like to see in the mission a little bit more robustness of going toward actual actions. And maybe in the objectives, we should have some objectives that say we will have so many miles of pathways for bicycles and pedestrians in place by some time. That's just an idea to get the discussion going.
I think my recommendation would be to have the Bike and Ped Committee meet one more time and see if there are any objectives that they would like modified as well, along with the mission, so that we go to council once with one request.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But any ideas from this commission would be helpful.
Yeah, and that way, because I know in your revision of it, you have a couple of different options there. So if it can be down to the one that you really want, that would be helpful as well. And this is just, I see sometimes the Bike and Ped Committee needing to be really active and sometimes not needing to be really active. And I perceive them as probably being really active here in the short term too, with some things that are coming up. But if we're talking about modifying the bylaws, maybe give some consideration as to whether or not you have a mandatory once-a-month meeting. Maybe it can be worded in some way so that you meet when needed, but not necessarily required to meet once a month every month, because there may be some times when you have nothing going on that would require your input. And I agree with you. I looked at both that 1991 plan and the 2020 plan, and it's amazing the similarities between both those plans and the comments from those plans as well. And I hope that we allow the Bike and Pedestrian Committee to become very involved in the new master plan, option 2. And I hope they also can get involved in the Front Street Blueprint project, because that's being funded now via urban renewal, and you guys are going to come up with a plan for that. And so I think that's something where they really need to be involved too, to use their expertise. So.
So I guess I need some direction here, because we went through the blueprint process. There was a pretty robust public outreach through that. We even had a task force. We've already completed 30% design. We've followed the blueprint. There's a multi-use trail, and we are going forward with final design based on that blueprint. And so I think that that review process started before the Bike and Ped Fact-Finding Committee. So there might be some projects that are already in the queue that the Bike and Ped Fact-Finding Committee may not comment on, like this one. That's just my suggestion, but it's, again, we're already down the path with respect to final design. And it is a multimodal trail, so I think that they will be very happy with that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I was just going to say I noticed that too, and I remember the 30% plan, but what I think I saw was that now it's going to be the 100% plan.
Correct.
So somewhere along the line, probably should have some input about what changes might occur between 30 and 100% plan.
Okay.
Or no.
Well, no. I want to talk about this and talk about it thoughtfully. It's just, again, I think that there is some projects that are already in the queue that are far enough down the road where they just may already be in place. Any new projects, absolutely, we need to bring in front of, but government works slow. This project has been in place for several years now, and we have followed all of the objectives in the blueprint. We can present the 30% design plans now, and if there are any comments, we can take those and see how we can incorporate them. If that's something you think that the Bike and Ped Fact-Finding Committee want to do, but they probably would have to meet here pretty soon because we're getting ready to kick off that meeting. So does that sound like a good compromise? Okay.
Yeah, I think and for the different plans and stuff that's already happening, maybe that they're not necessarily modified, but the Bike and Ped Committee and then us in general are included in at least what's happening.
Great.
So that as we're working on these other parts and pieces that connect together, we already have an idea of what's existing.
I like that. Okay, so we'll get those plans on over to. Okay, great. Thank you.
I'd like to jump in. I think as we've been getting started as a committee, a fact-finding committee, we've struggled to kind of just understand our role, and that's where some of this, asking for direction or maybe an amendment to what we're doing. But the scope that is listed or what we've been tasked with does make sense, and as we are getting more information, I think that's helping us, or will be helpful for us to kind of onboard which direction we need to take. Speaking personally, not for the group, but I felt like, we jump into it and it's just like, okay, we're here to find some facts about, but where do we even start? And, finding out about the TSP and there's this, now we're going to update it. I feel like getting us together has been one thing, but getting us focused is another. And with this grant award that we have, I think it'll help us to focus our efforts and maybe bring some new things to our attention, like you're saying, Kurt. I don't know, Jamie, if we need to go to council with this, because, the things that we came up with, they do make sense, but I feel like I'm understanding more what we're supposed to do just every time we have a meeting in general.
Yeah.
I really do want that bicycle fact-finding committee to be a place where us as a board can just offload some of the questions and because it seems like for a year or so prior to the fact-finding committee, we'd have a parks meeting and it was all about bikes. Well, we want to reduce that, so all about bikes is in the committee, and then we can do the other stuff. So targeted areas of research for us would be helpful, because right now it seems too broad. So since Front Street's already kind of moving, if we can take what we have there and we already have some design plans for maybe how to get to Front Street. You know, there's already options there. All right, well, what does this board want us to tackle next? So we have a plan for Front Street to Mingus. Do you want us to work on the next step and what that's going to look like for what? I don't know. So that, you know, council said we need a bicycle master plan, and we kind of already have it in the TSP. I don't think that the bicycle fact-finding committee should be the one like deciding exactly what that looks like, but I feel like we need those scope of work for very specific projects for this group. We need to have something that you dedicate to us, like please figure out what to do with this and give us some options. Are you feeling that?
Of course, and that's why when I look at the one segment of the hopefully master plan will be getting from Front Street to Mingus, that project can go forward, but our task is to find out the facts about what would make it work, because we can't make recommendations. We just say, well, if we're looking at this spot, here are the facts about going this way. Mm-hmm. And that's where we put some information in the report saying there's hardly any parking on that area where we want to put a two-way or even a one-way bicycle to take that much parking up. Parking is not used there even during high use times of Coos Bay. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. That's the sort of thing I think we're looking for, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess, you know, we've already got that design plan, and we can give facts for that design plan, but we didn't go forward with implementing that design plan because we want a larger plan in general. So how is it going to fit with Ocean Boulevard and 101 South and the schools, and how are all these things going together? And since we're not going to be making any decisions, what do you want to focus on next? Like, how do we want to how do we get that part integrated so that we can move forward with this plan that we've already invested a bunch of money in, and we know what to do?
You mean the one that we just made a vote for, or the one that's in? No, I'm talking about the Front Street to Mingus. That plan's already been done. We've already done the research, and we could implement it and have a win under our belt. Mm-hmm. But we were tasked with coming up with a broader plan before we implement that. So what do you want us to focus on as a board so that we can maybe implement that plan that we've already spent money and time on?
Well, I think for me personally, with going back to what we voted on before, the option 1, option 2, I think because I don't ride much ever, is knowing where the pain points are. So we have that one, and that one's been identified.
Pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah. The whole thing. The whole thing.
Where does it hurt?
Yeah, here. All of it. Yeah. Oh, that's like my doctor's appointment.
Yeah.
And so I'm finding out where some of those key pain points are, and some of those projects that we can get through with having the 175, so we can get to design on some of those. Where are those low-hanging fruit where we can start to get some of those wins, so that we can go after more grants, so that we can go after more projects, so we can see, hey, we're actively moving forward with this, so that we can implement the entire plan. Because that's the goal, is to get the whole entire.
Yeah, or at least start on the damn plan.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, we spent money for some plans, and then we were just like, well, let's wait, because we got to do more planning.
And since this is going to be a revision of the current TSP, correct? Mm-hmm.
It won't
be
a
reversion of
it'll
the bicycle pedestrian part.
It'll be adopted as a reference. Right. So they're going to take the data that's collected in the TSP, and they're just going to move it over into this bike and ped plan. And I'm not sure exactly what the title's going to be yet, but we'll call it that here for the sake of this meeting. But then they'll take that, and then it'll be a reference, adopted as a reference to the TSP. So it'll be adopted as part of the TSP.
Mm-hmm. And the TSP does include North Bend, correct?
It does. I think there's sections of that are as far as the bike and ped goes. But our focus with the TGM grant is going to be
focus solely on Coos Bay.
Yeah.
So we can, as a fact-find committee, use the current TSP with the knowledge it's going to be updated to look at the most likely pathways, which are there already in most part. I see some problems with some of them, but we can come up with those, an alternate to those, as part of our fact-finding, right?
We could. I guess I'm looking for direction from the board to be like, will you please focus on this so we can get moving forward on this?
Here's my 2 cents. I would, seeing as how the Front Street Blueprint project got shot down. No, it didn't get shot down. I'm only teasing. I really think, this revision of the TSP plan for bicycles and pedestrians is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I think that ought to be a serious focus of the bike and ped group, that they get involved in that and work in that, make suggestions to that, and are able to come to the Parks Commission Board when we get close to having that finalized and saying, or before, and saying, hey, we've been working on this and we looked at it, and here's some things I think are really important, and there's some things that we don't think are important. And in that process, as Jamie said, they could say, some of these things that are upcoming in the revision look like projects that we could start right now. But, I really think this revision, the TSP plan for pedestrians and bikes, is a big deal. And rather than us all sitting around and figuring out where pinch points are, or what roads are good roads, or what are good connector points, that's something that the pedestrian and bike committee could look at, focus on, give us some feedback in the process. And if in the process of that everybody says the Front Street to Market to Mingus Park is a good project, I really do think the City Council does want to move on that. You would know better, Carmen, until there is a plan. And so it's important to get the plan in place.
So hopefully this option 2 thing that we just voted will help us to have that plan.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then so right now what I'm hearing from you is a proposal that we initiate the group, or interact with this new grant on behalf of.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be our new direction.
Yes.
Is that something that we can do, Jennifer? Great.
Jennifer's on her way up to the microphone.
So Greg, help me out, because you've been involved in the initial discussions. So do you foresee us doing like a task force similar to how we did the Safe Routes to School, or like a project management team?
Well, I don't think a project management team was proposed for this project. I think, but we are at the very infancy of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think anything's possible. I think maybe a much smaller group than on that project management team for the Safe Routes to School. I definitely think that the input of the bike and ped fact-finding group would be appropriate. Maybe 1 or 2 spokespeople be involved with that, have that involvement. I think I would appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay.
So how about we propose that to ODOT, and we haven't gotten to the consultant stage yet, and if they're on board, we'll just include that in the consultant's scope of work.
Great.
Okay.
So we'll be the link between the Community Parks Commission and ODOT.
Yeah. And then we'll figure out like how this commission wants to receive status reports on the progress of the TGM. So we'll be looking to you to provide us with that direction, or it'd be quarterly or what have you. But as soon as we get a schedule and a consultant, maybe we can present like a status. Does that sound like a good path forward?
How soon might that start?
Well, anytime I talk about RFPs, I tell people 90 days, and we haven't even, we've been awarded the grant, but we haven't done the paperwork yet. So I'm thinking sometime next year, spring-ish, but guys, Greg, had they talked schedule? I just know we're dealing with ODOT, we gotta enter into an agreement there, then we have to select a consultant. So that's gonna take a few days, and we got the holidays coming up. So I'm thinking, yeah, and if we beat that, great. I'm hoping not that.
I'm just trying to be realistic.
Okay. But we can give status reports too.
Yeah, and so right now, what we just voted on today, what you guys just voted on today, would just kind of how do we develop the scope of work? So we're just at that point, you know, so what does it even look like yet? And so that's where we're at. We're at the very beginning of this entire process. So, yeah, I know that we would appreciate the input, and I think we have a meeting scheduled with them on Monday to kind of say, hey, this is what the commission requested, and so this is the direction we're headed. Now, what does that look like time frame wise? I think Jennifer's right on point about the time frame. So, yeah, we'll keep you guys up to date on any of those happenings.
Okay. So for BPFFC, I'd like to propose that we just interact with the ODOT grant thing, and then maybe, if this sounds good to the board, just familiarize ourselves with the TSP to kind of get background. I almost feel like the committee was created before we really had some tasks to be handed.
Yeah.
So once this planning grant goes through and we have identified some scope of work for some specific projects and various things, then I think we could really hit the ground running. Or unless anybody sees another need that's like, hey, will you guys please investigate what this area might look like?
I have one request.
Okay.
Because the 1991, and then we have a newer one. We're talking about multimodal bikes and pedestrians, but I'm seeing other forms of transportation out there that are not traditional pedal bikes. There's e-bikes, there's the one wheels, there's skateboards, there's all those parts and pieces. And so I would like to know how those parts and pieces fit together to create transportation. Because, I see tons of people on e-bikes particularly, and how does that fit in the rules and our multimodal parts and pieces? Because I think we're just going to continue to see more of them.
Yeah, I think it potentially opens up a lot of different questions. It might open up more routes because hills become less of an issue, but it also might create different problems because the speeds are different. So,
So any information we have on that or how other cities have handled that would be really helpful for me, because I'm seeing more and more of them.
I hear Kurt saying earlier in the discussion about the laws in the state about e-bikes compared to bikes, and so that we need to refamiliarize ourselves with those sorts of things.
Yeah,
I think that's a good task before you get into the new TSP. It's something that the committee could be working on, because there, and again, I read it a while ago and things may have changed since then, but technically some of the stuff that I read, people under the age of 16 weren't supposed to operate eBay bikes. Oregon's one of the few states that has that law. California has a different one. There's helmet rules that are involved. There's where can they ride them? Can they ride them on sidewalks or not on sidewalks? There's a lot of issues involved with that, and I agree with Ariana. I am glad I see a lot more e-bikes, because I love seeing people on two wheels, because that's good for everybody that rides a bicycle, e-bike or not. But I don't think we have a great understanding of what, and that includes, motorized skateboards and motorized little scooter things that everybody rides.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards of that. And should they be allowed in the pathways and parks like Mingus and Toppets? There's a plethora of issues there that are involved with that.
Okay.
So.
One other item that is throughout the other master plans for bikes and peds is education of both the peddlers or walkers and the motorists, and that's key too. And I'm not sure how to, at this point, address that, but it seems like it needs to go hand in hand somehow.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on down to.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes.
Can I ask you one last thing? Do you guys publish when your meetings are? Because I know you've had 4 out of the last 5 months, but I've never seen anything when you're holding it.
They don't have to.
They don't have to. Okay, but I'm asking, would they? I guess. And here's the thing. Maybe you guys want some input from some folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it would be helpful.
Our work sessions are open to the public and public comment.
Do you have a preferred method of notification?
I don't, but I'm just thinking there may be some people sitting out there in the community who would like to give some input to the Bike and Bed Committee, and they don't know how to do that. And so rather than showing up at a city council meeting and complaining about something, or showing up here and talking about something, they would have a pathway to bring their concerns to the commission and the city council through the Bike and Bed Committee.
I like that. Yeah. Less formal meeting space. It's just drink beer and hang out.
Because you guys aren't making any decisions anyway, so you're just
Nope.
gathering facts, and that would be testimony as facts.
I like that idea. All right. Thank you for the direction. Jamie, do you feel like you have enough direction?
Yes.
I have one more idea about some fact finding. I really think that there's some opportunity to develop multi-use trails on our watershed. I know it's not a park, but our neighbors to the north in Newport have done something similar, and it's been very successful. I know there's a lot that would have to happen to develop trails there, but I think just looking into public opinion about what people think of that, and maybe helpful, and just as far as the relationships that might have to be forged between the watershed and the Parks Commission, Coos Bay, North Bend, to make that happen. But every time I look at a map of this area, which is this big, beautiful piece of land right in the middle, just see so much opportunity there.
That's a good point, Patrick, and we should definitely add that to our scope, especially when we look at it with ODOT to see how we can connect spaces between what ODOT is concerned about and what neighborhood that we could improve on by going through some natural areas.
All right, thank you so much.
Ariana, if I could
Yeah.
just, it was brought to my attention pretty discreetly that I don't know, tell me, Carmen, if I say this wrong, the BPFFC meetings, the committee shall record minutes of each month,
Oh.
and that the committee, per the bylaws,
Oh.
that the committee shall meet at least once a month. That's in the bylaws.
So
I have
that
been-
goes to the list of the bylaws that can go back to council for
Yeah.
some minor adjustments if needed.
So just wanted to bring that, like I said, it was brought to my attention, so.
Good to know.
Yeah.
We might need to retroactively do some submissions of recorded minutes.
I have the minutes the ones I attended, but I missed one.
Okay. Well, we apologize for not submitting those recorded minutes.
I didn't know they were missing until I just looked at the bylaws.
Good to know.
If you,
It's kind of like the 91 plan.
yeah, we're learning. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, I will
Learning
say
and
that,
growing.
yes, I think this is a committee that's in its infancy, and we are learning to walk before we really run. So, yeah, we're going to learn some lingo on various things and what
Where do you guys meet?
we meet at the local brewery.
Okay. Sounds like a good place to meet.
It's a good place to lubricate your wheels.
Okay, we are moving on to item 3D, park-related projects and grant updates.
City staff will deliver a monthly update to the Park Commission to highlight progress on grants, capital improvements, and operations related to parks. The intent of this update is to keep the Commission fully informed, streamline communication, and provide a summary of the progress made from the previous month. Progress from the previous month includes John Toppit's Park wildfire mitigation, hazard mitigation grant program through Oregon Department of Emergency Management. A letter of intent was submitted September 18th, 2025. Full application invitation expected winter of 2026. I made an error on the staff report. This application is requesting $225,000 to purchase a used excavator equipped with a mulching head plus a new mulching head attachment for the city's existing skid steer. The equipment was proposed to expand capacity for ongoing defensible space and hazardous fuel reduction work at John Toppitz Park. Action, implementation, and mitigation program. Staff identified another grant opportunity that could support ongoing wildfire mitigation efforts at John Toppitz Park through the Action, Implementation, and Mitigation Program, administered by a coalition of collaboratives. The AIM program helps communities improve wildfire outcomes before, during, and after fire by increasing local capacity and supporting on-the-ground mitigation work. The city is requesting $75,000, and the concept paper was submitted today. Mingus Park restrooms and rewilding. Judith Ann Mogan Foundation grant period has concluded. Staff is preparing the final report. Reeser Family Foundation application submitted August 1st requesting $55,000. A site visit took place on October 15th and went really well. Mary Jo from the foundation praised the city's strong application and presentation for the meeting. Thank you to everyone who attended and helped showcase the community's support for this project. Grantee selection expected December 2025. This grant will support the installation of the Mingus Park Playground restroom and offset the funding allocated by the Parks Capital Fund if awarded. CIS Security Enhancement Grant submitted October 13th, 2025, requesting $10,000 for Mingus Park restroom security cameras to the exterior of the facility to deter vandalism and enhance post-project monitoring. Project update for restrooms and rewilding. The Mingus Playground restroom, all submittals have been approved. ROMTech preparing plans and calculations. Site work is complete, including pad preparation, installation of utilities within 10 feet of the pad. The area is ready for the cement pad and precast restroom. Installation is scheduled for late March 2026. Mingus Ballfield Park restroom, all interior, exterior components have been completed. The last step is to install the hot water heater, which is anticipated to be completed by the end of October. Rewilding, Coos Watershed Association completed planting on October 14th, 2025, adding native wetland species to enhance the habitat and educational value of the site. Planting is timed for the rainfall cool weather season to promote healthy establishment and prevent drying. The educational signage is in development. Version 2 of the sign language is expected by the end of the week. Following review by local tribes for historical and cultural accuracy, installation is planned for early December. Bicycle and pedestrian improvements, TGM awarded October 1st to support bicycle and pedestrian planning. The preferred safe routes to school alternatives will be evaluated as part of this effort. The city's staff will coordinate project kickoff with ODOT and DLCD before year end. And Mingus Park Community Building, staff are continuing efforts to pursue additional grant to rehabilitate the roof and chimney structures as the next phase of restoration.
Thank you. And I would like to point out that during the site visit, the grantee said that the application was absolutely amazing, and so I think we should all give Christina a round of applause. Thank you for everything you're doing. All right, any commissioner questions or comments? And we'll roll into future agendas / staff and commissioner closing comments. We'll just cram them all together. Yep. Jerry? Barb? Good? Carmen?
I had a question on the Mingus Park. What used to be the old restroom is now, I guess, like a utility storage.
Yeah.
Is that already like used in use? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, of course it is. I had a question if that is the highest and best use of that particular structure. I don't mean to like change everything up, and I know how important storage is, but you know, I've been to a couple other communities where some of the structures within park lands or city-owned property has been leased out to be used for various options. And I was in Santa Cruz a little while ago, and they had a big restroom building, but then right next to it they had a coffee shop / bakery that was packed. People, I mean, it was right on their cliff walk, and so they had public facilities, and then they had a local business just utilizing like the back half of this building that was pumping out coffee and pastries, and it was really cool. And I saw that, and I immediately thought of Mingus Park. I was like, man, it would be so cool if we had a little spot like that in Mingus Park. And I don't know, it was just something I want to throw out there. I'm not trying to change everything, and I know how important, like I said, storage is, but storage in the park, I don't know. It's just something to think about. And I also noticed on my nightly walk last night that the lights in Mingus Park were not coming on at dark, so it was dark.
That was last night?
That was last night.
Okay.
So I think, oh, there was one more thing. I noticed the city staff was cleaning up the lot down just south of the Coos History Museum, where the little hopeful boat ramp space might be. Is it just doing cleanup, just normal things, or are we preparing for anything?
No, just doing some cleanup, brush cleanup.
Great. All right. Well, I wanted to stop and say thank you to them, but I'll do it publicly here and say thank you to city staff. It was looking really good, and that particular space can get a little wild pretty quickly. So I appreciate the it's not rewilding, it would be the refreshing that area. That's my comments.
Thank you, comment. Kurt?
I just reinforce what Ariana said regarding Christina's involvement in the grant stuff. The person who was down from Reeser was very complimentary at the very end. And you have to realize that this is a person who sees lots of grants all the time. And for her, with nobody asking her to come out and say that, I thought was awfully nice. And tells you how well the grant was written. And I want to thank the city staff, because in the meetings with the Reeser Foundation, you guys were able to answer all their questions, and I think did a really good job in supporting the grant application. So hopefully it gets awarded to us. And I also appreciate the fact that the mayor took the time out of a busy schedule to be there for the presentation down at the park as well as back at City Hall. So I think we have a really successful chance of getting that grant. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Jamie?
I would like also to thank Christina for her efforts in the Tour de Toilette, and and it was also coupled with the concurrence of the Coos Watershed's planting the day before. So she could see that there was things happening in the park that would complement having restrooms nearby where people use it. And by the way, if anybody's interested, I have the whole list of plants that were planted there, and one of them is in the tote at the back if you want one. It's first come, first served. They're the rare Henderson's checker mallow.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, it looked like you had something else to say when I was speaking. Did that thought evaporate as well? Oh, okay.
Thank you. Closing comments, Patrick?
No comments.
All right. Thank you. Greg? She already texted. I'm good.
Thank you, Patty. Yeah, can you share that list with me? That'd be great. Of the plantings that were done inside of the wetland. Perfect. Dope.
Yes, that's correct.
I'll find them there. Yeah, thank you, members, for coming to the meeting yesterday. I thought it was a great success. It was a very pleasant meeting. I thought we had, I think you guys are absolutely right. I think we have a great shot at this. I think Christina did a great job on that application, and it was really nice to meet the grantor. And we don't always get that opportunity, so I thought it was really nice. And just to be able to even just me go out there and just see what staff has done You know, I don't always get to see it, but it is very impressive about what's happened. And then also to hear, you know, we hear a lot from the community members about, you know, the effort that we're doing. You know, sometimes, you know, we look at sometimes our job is a thankless job sometimes, and but we do get those comments, and I appreciate the commission's comments about staff's efforts. They are important and they're very much appreciated. So, really, again, thank you very much. With that, I'll just stop right there. I just really do appreciate everybody's efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And just thank you to everyone that came and supported the meeting.
I have no comment.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for everyone who joined us today. We look forward to the next work session in 2 weeks. I hope everyone has a pleasant day and safe travels.
Thank you.